after webinars, but I'm excited to go through different workflows, and we have a very special guest that we're going to be bringing on and talking about both of our workflows, and I'm going to be sharing about some updates to the project pages that you may have seen or will see soon in your Riverside dashboard, showing you how to better organize your content, how we give you a head start in making things like magic clips and your edits, and more. And so I'll be showing some of that in a moment, but I also want to bring on Jon Richardson, who's going to be a special guest sharing about his workflow. And Jon, thanks so much for being here. And if you could introduce yourself to everybody.
Hey, I'm Jon. It's a real honor to be here. I run a podcast consulting and production business, and I also do Riverside coaching, one-on-one coaching for people who just need to figure out that one weird little thing that's been bugging them for a while. And yeah, Stephen, thank you so much for having me on for this. This is such an honor. I love the platform, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Jon, and welcome everyone in the chat. People are already telling where they're from around the world. This is an international webinar, which is amazing, from the Philippines, Alaska, Jamaica, Philadelphia. I see Maryland. So throughout the webinar, as you have questions about our workflow, organizing your media, you can leave them in the chat, and you may also see a special Q&A section of the chat. If you want to leave specifically questions there, that'll help me as we go and ask those questions. And so you can do that whenever you have questions as we go through it. And so, typically we do a monthly webinar where we demo the entire platform of Riverside, recording, live streaming, editing, and repurposing. And these community workshops are really focused on a specific topic. And again, this one again is about organizing your media and your workflows. And so before we get to that, I want to share specifically about the new project page updates that you'll be seeing because it's really going to help you stay organized and keep all your media in easy to access fashion, and again, give you a head start. So I'm going to show you my personal Riverside account. This is where I record my video podcast every week. And I'm going to jump into one of my past recordings here and show you some of the updates that you're going to see. And so the project page now has multiple tabs. This way to keep things organized and for quick access. And so you'll see underneath, this is my project title, which I typically title my projects via episode number for our podcast. But as we'll go into different workflows, it may work for you to change that and choose different folder names. But here in the new projects page update, you can have 4 tabs. You have recordings, made for you, edits, and exports. Now, all of your individual files, if you're on a standard or pro account, and your edits, it's all going to be here, and I'm going to show you exactly where to find all those different pieces of media. But here under recordings is exactly what you would expect. If you want to download those individual video and audio files for you and your remote guests, and even the screen shares, you'll do all of that on the recordings tab. And of course, if you have screen shares, which I do that many times when I'm podcasting, you can download those individual tracks as well. After recordings, you have the Made for You tab, which is a great place if you're going to want to create magic clips. You have your magic episode edit. You can do all of that here. And again, if depending on your plan, you'll also have that AI generated show notes, which I use all the time because for keywords right here, I'll copy and paste these keywords, and now I can use that in my YouTube tags when I upload on YouTube. So it gives me a head start on that. Plus you have possible titles, sound bites, and those chapter timestamps that you can also use on YouTube or Spotify. So you'll see your magic episode here, show notes, and when you're ready to create something like more magic clips of your podcast, you can click the create button up here and you'll see all the options. You can create a new edit, maybe record something, which again, as we talk about managing your media and projects, you might need to record additional clips, a sponsor break. And so I'm going to generate some magic clips actually of this episode. And remember, you can choose the different options for magic clips and we'll generate those. And while those generate, let me show you the couple other tabs. After Made for You, we have edits. So if you have previous short form videos or clips, those will be saved here, as well as any full-length episodes. So here we have a full length of the video episode and some clips to share. You can quickly export these, jump back in to edit it, which creates a draft of it. And one of the really cool features of the new project page is you can preview the video of your clips and edits right here without having to jump into the editor. So I can click play. I see a little play bar here. I'm watching the animated captions and the edit, and I can preview all these clips without having to jump into the editor, which I think is going to save you a lot of time. I'm really thankful for that feature too. And then your finished exports will go right here. And so edits or drafts are in the edits. Exports, these are things that you've already exported and you're ready to download. Again, you can still preview these right here on the project page, like the edits. Then you can download them, of course, and share, and your full episode exports are down there as well. So all of your exported files now live in the Exports tab. All your drafts or edits you're working on are in the Edits tab. Made for You has your magic episode, your summary, your AI generated show notes, and magic clips as they're generating. They'll be here. And of course, all the recordings and individual files can be found there. And so that's the new project page. And there's some other great features coming very soon. One that I'll point out, which you may see already, is the global search. So as we talk about projects and organizing your media, if you're wanting to find a specific moment in a recording or maybe an edit that you made a while ago, you can use the new search box up here, and you can search either magic clips or magic drafts, and you can search for a specific name, a title, and maybe we talked about OpenAI in a clip. Well, I can search for that, and now it's going to show me individual clips. It'll show me recordings. I can go over to the recordings tab, and now I see full episodes where that search term was found. And this is searching not just the title of your media or project, but this is searching in the transcript of your recording. So if you're trying to find that specific moment, you can search for that, and it will pull all the recordings with that word or phrase. And again, you can filter by recordings, magic clips, drafts, and even your exports, and you can jump to it. And you can even look for full projects right here. So that global search feature is a huge deal, and it's really going to help you find those moments faster. And whether it was something you want to make a clip out of, or just finding that past export so you can quickly download it. And now you can see here, last thing, and we'll get to more of the workflows and we'll look at your questions. But that Made For You tab, now that I generated some magic clips, you see those right here under that Made For You tab. And again, I can preview them right here on the page before I even jump in to edit them, which again, really useful for making sure that you can find all of those quickly. So that's the new project page. If you had any questions, I'll jump over to that Q&A, which I already see that here. And I'm going to look at some of these questions, try to answer them in the chat, and then we'll actually, as Jon goes into some of his workflows. So if you have questions on the project page, organization, go ahead and leave them in the chat. I'll start looking at those. But Jon, why don't you go ahead and share some of your workflow strategies and how you use Riverside?
Absolutely. I'm just gonna share a little bit of a slideshow here. So one of the things that I also want to mention is that, Stephen, what you just went over is so incredible. And since this is a live stream and there's people that are going to be coming onto this later, I will be coming back to that and show you a couple of other things that are kind of incredible that Stephen didn't even mention. So anyway, hello. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm Jon. I am coming to you from Portland, Oregon. I am currently in the basement of an old converted bank. So I am so excited to be doing this today and share some of the things that I've learned during my time as a podcaster, podcast producer, and also a Riverside user for quite some time. So yes, this is me. I actually have my background in television production. I produced story for a lot of reality TV shows. In fact, one of my earliest jobs was actually as a tape librarian for a competition reality show starring Kathy Hilton. And so media organization goes back with me a long, long time. And it's something that has stuck with me as I've gone into my professional career in television and now podcasting, which I've been doing since 2011. A friend of mine, colleague who I did television shows with, was like, hey, want to try this podcasting thing? And I haven't been able to stop. In 2016, I started my first remote show, which was kind of going over Skype and recording our own separate audio and sending it to each other and cobbling it together. And then as time went on, there were more and more tools, different platforms that kept on showing up. And I actually have a prop here, Stephen. Riverside sent me this tripod for a cell phone back in 2020 when I signed up and was starting to use the platform regularly. And I still use this all the time. So thank you to the legacy Riverside crew back from 2020 who sent that to me. That was really sweet. Just evidence that I've been a user for a long time. So, yes, I mentioned before I do Riverside coaching as well. I am not employed by Riverside, and I have not received a cease and desist for any reason to kind of demonstrate things on their platform. But it is a very robust platform. There's a lot of features. It can feel overwhelming until you take the time to learn it. And so, what we're going to cover today is really getting to know your studio, whether you have one studio or multiple studios, and understanding that there are pros and cons to keeping things in one studio versus multiple studios. We're going to take a look at the project structure a little bit more than what Steven just did. More about personalizing your studios, which actually is going to help with the way that you organize things, which also, when you have guests on and other people coming on, uh, it just makes everything look cleaner, more professional, and it really underscores um, the whole idea of Riverside being kind of like a prestige platform that actually is so incredibly affordable and can be really fun and easy to use. And also there are a lot of great things that you can do within the projects themselves that are going to be really great tools that I hope that you will be able to use more effectively in the future. Unfortunately, we won't be doing too many editing tips and tricks. We'll see what we have time for or anything. There are so many other great features that are just not going to be covered today, but hopefully more community workshops in the future are going to be covering more of these things. I'm going to take a quick moment to speak again about the Riverside community. What sets Riverside apart in another way is the incredible community that you all are part of, whether you are on the Facebook group or you connect through other social media platforms. I have been on so many different podcasting groups where there just isn't that sense of community. There's more of a sense of competition, whereas this is a platform where people are really there to help each other. And it's why I post myself and why I really want to try to help people out and support other creators.
And you can join our community if you're watching using Riverside Audience Mode real quick. There's a link to join our Facebook community. You can click it right here on the video and you'll be brought to it. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can visit the community. We'll put the link in the video description once the recording goes up.
Totally. Yeah, thank you. So just to give a quick breakdown of the difference between studios and projects. The studios house your projects, very simply. They are where you also go to customize all of your branding. You can put in your brand colors, you can put in logos, you can kind of have your standard for what's going to show up both in your recordings and then also in your edits, which you can get even more dialed in on. If you have multiple podcasts, studios can make them easier. But also, if you have a lot of studios, then it actually can make things a little bit more challenging and you are a little bit more limited. So there are pros and cons to having multiple studios versus one studio that kind of packs it all in. The projects are where your recordings are. Stephen, you referred to them as folders before. That's a very easy way to kind of think about it as a one-to-one. If you are used to like doing things on a regular like PC or Mac or something, you keep things in your folders, you keep them organized. That's where your projects are. Everything is in there, your transcripts, your edits, all of your AI magic clips and magic episodes. The settings are all based on your studio settings, and you'll see that there are within the project there's a different search function aside from that global search that Stephen talked about before that we're going to talk about too, and kind of the pros and cons between each one and when you would want to use them. I'm going to talk about studios in terms of closets right now because I feel like there's a lot that you could really cover with studios, but to kind of put it in terms that most of us would understand, we have, I guess, a commonality among us where we have our different closets. One of them is a special use closet. You use it for towels or linens, things that you don't get to all the time. And that's something that you might want to have like a studio that is just for one special thing. If you're doing solo content where you're not having guests on, you might want to actually maximize your quality settings because you only have to worry about yourself and not other people coming on and what their internet connections, what their computers, what their cameras, what their lighting, what their microphone, and all that stuff is going to be. So it keeps things separated if you are just doing something that where it's just you, one to everyone. And also, if you want to just have a section where you're just uploading things to transcribe, maybe this isn't for a podcast or a video project at all. Maybe this is just something where it's like, oh, you were sent an audio file, you need to transcribe it for whatever reason. Transcription services have come such a long way, and Riverside has been incredible with the abilities and the recognition that it has for creating automated transcripts, and very fast too. And also, a special use case might just be if you're doing things that are only for social media. That way, you can have special branding, special settings that are just for that. Another different kind of a closet is a main one. This is your bedroom closet where your stuff is. You're using it every day. You want it to be the way that you feel comfortable in, but other people might not love it as much, but it's for you and you alone. It's your highest quality settings. And this might be like your main hub for your podcast episodes. This could be something where you know that the person that maybe it's your co-host, they have the optimized settings for everything. They would be the perfect person to have a main studio with. Kind of those one-on-one podcasts where you just have that one consistent person. Then there's kind of a secondary one where it's suited to other people's needs. It maintains the look and feel of your brand, but perhaps the quality is a little bit lower, the quality settings, because you don't know if the internet connection or the computers that your guests might have are going to be powerful enough to kind of give that stronger signal. And also, and I indicate this one here in the notes, it might be set to a different transcription language, because perhaps you typically do a podcast in English, but maybe you have a special Spanish language one that you're doing. You'd want to keep them separate. And so that's a benefit of having this secondary studio where it's not going to act the same as your main studio. And then you have your public facing one. This is kind of like, it'll work for everybody. It maintains the look and feel of your brand. And also, this is great for live streams. You're going to have a lot of different guests on. Maybe you're doing screen shares, you're sharing media clips. This is something where it's going to be dialed in for all to see. Maybe you have all of your live stream settings selected for this one, where on the other ones, you don't do that as much. And so that's where we have things with one studio. If you have one studio in your account, you have a lot of a much easier task ahead of you, but it just takes a little bit of extra time. And so taking the time to, before you record, make sure that everything is set up appropriately for that particular recording is going to make your whole life easier, and your future self will be thanking you. I can't tell you how many times I have maybe recorded something in the wrong studio, and because you can't move things from studio to studio, it's just like, well, okay, what are my options here? Maybe you just export the whole thing and download it and then just upload the whole, finished product just so that it can live inside of the studio that you want it to be in. But take the time, make sure that everything is dialed in, make sure that the branding looks the way that you want it to look. If you are doing a Spanish language episode and the rest of your episodes are English language, switch it to Spanish language so that the transcription will serve you appropriately, and you're not going to be kicking yourself afterwards because it just wasn't set properly to begin with. So it just requires, like I say here, more questions to ask of your guests, asking them to kind of do a speed check on their internet, asking them what kind of computer they're using, what kind of microphone they're using, just so that you know how you want to approach the situation. So that's kind of my my big spiel about the differences between studios and projects, and how to kind of treat your studios. But I wanted to pause and see if there were any questions that came in, Stephen, because I know I've just been rambling.
No, it's great, and I've been feverishly answering questions in the chat. So
if
you're
good
over there, please, you can keep leaving your questions over there. A couple quick questions, and then we'll jump into screen sharing your workflow. But what camera are you using right now? Because we did have a question about gear.
Right now, I am using the Canon R100. It is a very inexpensive mirrorless DSLR camera. and I'm using an Elgato Streamlink to Camlink to get it into my system. Um, it works. It it's relatively inexpensive compared to other mirrorless DSLRs.
That's great. I'm using a Sony A7 IV. I know someone was asking about that with a Sigma 35 millimeter lens. Mirrorless cameras, they're going to be like the best video quality usually, but I always tell people if you have a mobile device, you can use that as a camera either with continuity camera if you have an iPhone and a Mac, or you can use an app called Camo if you're not familiar. And Camo works across platforms. So whether you have an iPhone and Android or Windows or Mac, it will work cross-platform. And so I'll put a link to that actually in the chat if you're interested in, if you have an Android phone and you want to use it as a webcam, or you have a Windows computer, that link is in the chat as well. And there are some great questions about naming conventions for things like files. And so we're going to get to that.
We're about to get to that.
Yeah, I'm going to let John share that as well. A couple other questions real quick. Kate was asking, does this replace Zoom for online meetings? Why, yes, it does. That's exactly what you should use Riverside for, because you get full transcripts and you can search those transcripts and you can get a summary with AI-generated show notes, plus you get high-quality recording. Yes, absolutely. You would use it to replace Zoom as well. Anik was asking about tips on video quality and stuff. I don't know. We'll see if we have time for that. I'll save the question to see if we can do that a little later. And one other question I wanted to answer before you go into your workflow, but I talked about the magic episode that shows up in the project page. And this person was asking, saying it was a little over edited, and they wanted to know, how can they better use the magic episode? And I just wanted, are you going to have something on that?
Well, I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I just wanted to show real quick, if someone is not familiar, that you can adjust the settings of the magic episode that gets generated once you're done recording. So real quick, on the project page, when you go to that Made For You tab, this magic episode, if you find that it feels too edited or maybe you want to make changes, there's this little question mark icon right here, and you can personalize how this magic episode is edited with AI. So when I click there, now I can choose some options, not only ratio, smart layouts, and applying my brand, but maybe, and I actually, for our podcast, me and my co-host, we don't use a lot of filler words. There's not too many uhs or ums.
Well, la-di-da, Stephen.
not humble bragging or anything. I'm just saying. And so if someone finds that theirs is feels too over-edited, you can toggle that off. And so that magic episode, once it's automatically generated for future recordings, it won't remove the filler words. Or if you want to go and maybe remove a little less pause because you find that the silence removal is too aggressive in your style of talking or recording, well, you can do that too. And you can change the pace of that pause removal. You can also choose whether or not to apply magic audio and smart mute to that magic episode. And so once you save that, now for your future recordings, you're good to go. And you can even generate a new one with those settings using the create button and then magic episode. People are wondering, I use the smart mute feature, which will mute someone's tracks when they're not talking. I find that helps cut out some distractions. I do use the remove silences, the set pace feature, but I toggle off remove filler words, and maybe I'll go back. And you can always apply it later. So you can jump into that magic episode and still go into the AI producer, remove filler words, and do it later, but you can toggle it off so that magic episode that's automatically generated doesn't remove the filler words by default. So I just wanted to share a little tip there to customize how Riverside does those things for you, basically, so it's more useful in the future.
And I have two things to add to that. One of them is do not sleep on those little question marks. Those little areas on the Riverside page where there's like a little icon next to a particular section, click on those because you will learn so much that will help you incredibly. Like, yes, that one pulled up a whole entire menu that you might not have realized was there. There are other ones that just kind of give suggestions. One of them that I notice a lot is, or was paying more attention to recently, is on the export when next to the normalization toggle, it's like, if you changed your volume or using magic audio, this is probably not going to be something you want to turn on. And of course, it can make it really distorted. So it's important to kind of take a look at those little helpful icons. Those are super amazing. Also, what I would recommend also for magic clips and magic episodes as well, I use them as a jumping off point. The magic clips are great to like find, you take the guesswork out of like, all right, what, 4 clips am I going to want to grab for social media? Oh, this gave me ideas for these. Maybe you want to make them start a little bit sooner, end a little bit earlier. And you can also go in and you can finesse the handles. You can move the handles on the edits so that, like, if a particular word gets cut off a little too soon, if you don't want to go through the whole thing of trying to dial in your AI settings, you can just drag that little toggle and it'll save you so much time. I do it all the time, and it's such a helpful tool for me, at least. Um, I'm actually going to go ahead and share one of my project pages, and this is one of my personal podcasts. This is a film podcast I do called Ruined Childhoods. That's all about film legacies. And
That's good.
thank you.
That's a
Yeah,
good
we
name. Yeah.
stuck with it, and we're almost 300 episodes in, and it's just like,
Amazing.
was that a good idea to name it that? Anyway, I also want to point out the more recently added home feature that you see when you go into your studios that kind of give you your array of AI tools. They show you your recent edits, different drafts and magic clips and things like that, and also easy access to get to the things that you might want to be getting to. There's like 100 different ways to schedule a recording, and this is one of them. But once you get into your projects page, uh, there are, like, just like Steven said, the way that he did his is, the episode name. That's what I currently have here. Mine is the episode number, but then also gives information on like the movie that we covered, and for some of them even the year. That way, it's just easier to find. So when you're doing global search, you want to find a particular episode that you did. It's like, oh, okay, there it is right there. Also, the search here, the search icon here, the little magnifying glass, this only searches things within your project. So if I'm looking for the movie Willard, it'll pull up the movie Willard, and then that's it. That's why naming is so important, because in this one, it's only getting your project name. It is not searching transcripts. It is not searching any other information. It's not searching titles in magic clips or anything like that. It's only searching for the project name. So I'm just going to go into one of the projects here, and I'm going to show you. This is just talking a little bit more about naming conventions and why it's going to be good for you, because this is where you're going to find the most use out of the global search and also that individual project search, but mostly that global search. One thing also, when Stephen was pointing out items in the new project page, which, chef's kiss, I love it. If you did multiple recordings in one project, you'll see one recording up there, and then underneath the first one is where you'll see the next one. And so they're sectioned out like that. So if you're just like, oh, wait, where did that other recording go? I just want to download the video files for that. It's just beneath the first recording that you did. Another thing I want to point out is that if you are in your Made for You section, which I love, it's fantastic. Some of you might be happy to see that the thumbnails are different for each one. I feel like that's a feature that people have been waiting for, and you can see that there's
Yes.
differences in each one. And these are also showing different ways that the magic clips have decided to give the captions a different look or whatever. I wanted to point out that this one right here is an edit of a magic clip. The edits for magic clips stay inside of magic clips. They don't go into edits. Perhaps that'll change in the future, but at the time of this recording, they stay in magic clips. So if you're wondering, where did that edit go that I did? It's right there. So for example, I did an edit of this particular one, and I renamed it to say edit in there. And if you click on these 3 dots, like I said, click on all the things, you can go to rename, and you can say, okay, and in this one, I did magic audio, and then maybe you want to then hit save. Maybe you want to do a version that doesn't have magic audio. You can go in here and you can duplicate, and now it has copy of. Go in, rename it. Let's just say this, and then just say um, no magic audio, something like that. So that way you know which edits have different features toggled on and off, and that you're able to find them more and more easily. And when you are using that global search, perhaps you're just like, oh, where was that edit of the thing that I did for the movie Sisters that has magic audio turned on? Then you can find it right there. Um, I did have plans to kind of go over more about the project's layout, but Steven so masterfully did it before that I am going to actually uh, ease back on that. And I see we're already a half hour into this, and there's so much more to go over. Does anybody are there any questions that are coming in just about what we've just been talking about right here?
Well, again, I'm furiously answering questions,
Oh,
and so let me let me see. Uh, One question was from Susan,
mm-hmm.
and she was asking if you don't like the way your edited video or magic episode is edited, is there a way to revert to the original? So maybe you can show people how do you start an edit from scratch?
Absolutely. So I'm again just going to go into this particular one right here. So under edits, you can, if there was nothing here, there'd be a button that says edit from scratch, but you can also go to create and then edit. And that's a brand new edit with nothing changed. It is as you recorded it. All of the silences, all of the everythings, that's all the same. If, for example, you did start an edit and you wanted to kind of create a log for yourself of your edits. So this is an edit I did of this particular episode that I started yesterday. But today I want to go in and I want to make some changes and keep on editing. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a copy of this, and I am going, so go to duplicate, and in the title for it, it's making it right now. I will actually change the title so it has today's date on it. So June 23, 2025. And that way I know if I wanted to revert back to my June 2024 edit, that's this one, or my June 22,
Yep.
then it's right there. So you can create a log. And also it's like, you can do as many of these as you want. There's no limit. You also have unlimited projects. I think at every subscription tier, but don't be afraid to just like make more and more copies. And it doesn't mean that, you know, there's not going to be a ripple effect. If you start editing a copy of one, it's not going to change the other one. It's just going to kind of be your historical record of your edits so that you can go back and you can see like, oh, there was a thing that was there and I got rid of it. Even though if you are editing based on transcript editing, the transcript all stays there. It's just that things are crossed out. And so you can go back into the transcript search function, which, you know, why don't we just kind of hop into and edit right here and demonstrate that. So I already put a bunch of like images and stuff on here. I didn't do too much actual content editing, but you see this is an area where there's something that's been crossed out. It's been edited out, but you can still see. And what happens when they, and it's going to bring you right to it. So even if it is deleted, you can still get to it by searching the transcript right above the transcript. All of the amazing search functions, they're all in different places and they're all amazing. So that is something that I think is important to note, is that there's no destructive editing that happens here. You can certainly go back to edits that you had already done or revert your sections that you deleted. So I just want to go through my notes here and see if there's something that I wanted to focus on that hasn't been talked about yet.
Well, if you don't mind stopping your screen share, because I just want to show one on
Go
mine.
ahead, please.
Because there was a question here from Jennifer saying she's trying to organize her Riverside, recording 2 YouTube shows and a podcast. How can you do it all with one studio? And so I wanted to share kind of how I do my naming convention and how you could use one studio for that. And so I try to be very exact in how I'm naming my recordings, my projects, and even my exports. So when it comes to projects, project for my show, PTS is Primary Tech Show. That's the podcast name. And then I have the episode number right after that. And so that's my naming convention for everything. If you were doing multiple shows, you could, have an acronym for the show. PTS, the name of your show was Ruined Childhood. So maybe that's RC, with
Hmm.
an episode number. And then that global search function, you'll be able to find those episodes quickly using that acronym. And then when it comes to exporting different parts of my podcast, we have a full episode that we upload to YouTube. I have a member episode where I remove the sponsors and I have an unlisted video specifically for paid supporters. And then we have an additional bonus episode, which is content that, again, our paid supporters get that we don't publish publicly. And so you see at the bottom here of my exports, I have a naming convention where I have PTS, Primary Tech Show, the number episode, and then I'll say full episode or full ep, which is the full with ads episode that we'll upload to YouTube and Spotify. I have PTS 78 member ep, and that member ep means I take the ads out, and that goes unlisted to just our paying supporters. And then I have PTS 78 bonus ep, which is that bonus content. You'll see it's much shorter. It's only 7 minutes, but that also gets uploaded unlisted, and I share that link to our paid supporters as well. So that's the naming convention that I use every week. This way, if I ever want to find a member episode or bonus content, it's easy to search for it. And being consistent is really the main thing. Find a system that works for you. Be consistent. That's going to make it much easier to find that content later on. And so I know you were going through kind of some of your naming conventions as you were talking about titling, but if you have any other thoughts, let me know.
Sure. Well, I also wanted to, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again.
Yeah.
There's something that's actually perfectly relevant to that, which is if you have one studio and you have multiple podcasts, up here in the corner, you also have this sort function. So if you have a show that's called, I don't know, This Is My Life, that's going to start with a T. It's going to be towards the end of the alphabet. You have another show called A Life That Is Mine. That's A. It's going to be at the beginning. So if you sort them Z to A, you're going to be getting your This Is My Life episodes first when you're viewing it, and then your A Life That Is Mine episodes last. So you'll be able to find things more easily. If you have one studio, multiple podcasts, and you want to try to find a way to kind of separate them. Currently there isn't a way to this isn't a platform that is like a drag and drop into folders type of thing. So learning the functions to be able to navigate them easily is going to be really important. And also don't forget about the list view, because if you would just want to get a quick look at a lot of your projects all at once, you don't have to be in that grid view. You can be in that list view, and you can find everything pretty easily that way. So that's just kind of like a faster way to scroll down if you're looking for a different podcast. But
There was one question too, and maybe you can answer while you're here, but Shane is asking, how do you go about setting up an interview? Do you create a project and invite? And so maybe you could talk about scheduling a session, the invite link, and all of that.
Sure. So scheduling a session is super simple. There's 100 ways to do it. So there are very quick and easy ways to set up a new project. If you go to Open Studio, which I'm going to say the wording is confusing because studios are a thing, and this is not you're not a studio in the way that we're talking about it, but this is a recording. And also there's this little icon here that says invite to record, and then this will create so you get your invite via email, and you get to make all of your selections there, and then that'll create a project. Also, you go to new up here, and then this will be where this created a new project already. And this is where you go to plan to either schedule something if you want to record something right away. And then, of course, you can just upload things right away if you just have something that you wanted to upload that was a previously exported thing from maybe somewhere else. So one thing that's actually really cool is that for your studio, you have a static link for your guest invites. So when you are inviting somebody to your studio, it's right here. It's the same thing for your guests. So all they have to do is know this one time. And what I always like to do if I'm consulting with somebody who's launching a podcast is I encourage them to create a guest guide that is just a PDF that has all of the information for you. that says, you'll want to use Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge browsers. There's also a Riverside Mac app for your computer, or an iPhone and Android app, if that is the preference, or if they have an older computer, using a newer Android or iPhone is definitely going to get great quality and a great result. And then a big bold thing that says, click this link to join. And it's always going to be the same for your particular studio. And then whenever somebody needs to access that, they can access that. I don't know if the audience link is the same all the
It
time.
is.
It is. Okay. So if you are doing live streams, then this is the link that's going to go out every single time. I don't have to hunt around for it. When you do plan and schedule a recording on Riverside, it does email out a calendar invite. The information is limited. It also includes the name in that you have registered on Riverside. So it would be like John invited you or Steven invited you to, and then it'll say like the name of the studio. So Ruined Childhoods, recording session. I forget what the exact word is. So that's when you want to make sure that your naming for your studios, everything matches things correctly. So, don't put in a joke name for your own personal name if you're going to be sending out those invites to people, because they'll see all that stuff. And it also does give that information about which browsers to use and the apps and everything. But I think it's always good to have an additional piece of information, a PDF that's going to be the same for everybody, that you just send out. And and you can make that in any word processor, and it can be pretty simple. But like I said, it's all about how you structure your projects and your studios. That's going to make things look more and more professional. I also want to go into the studio settings for a second, because you'll notice that there's the customize button here. And by the way, I just clicked this button here at the bottom that says settings. When you create a studio, you do have some settings, but that's not everything. You go into the settings here, or if you are in a recording, before it starts, on the top, there is another gear icon. You can click that and you can change more settings. So here's where you can change a lot of information about your particular studio. You have your recording settings and your live stream settings, and you can select, your quality levels, all of your different things, the countdown timer. You can have it set to automatically start recording or pause uploads in case, that somebody is in a maybe iffy internet spot. That way you can pause the upload, and then when you're finished recording, it resumes all of the uploads. As long as they keep their tab open, they'll be in good shape. But you can go to customize here, and this actually brings you into a recording session. I don't want to call it a studio. I hope that this doesn't mess things up if I join that right now.
As long as you don't start recording, you should be good.
I'm not going to start recording, but you can go into brand on the side here, and that's where you can change all of your branding so that when people join your studio, they see the background that matches your branding. You have your main brand color put in here. There are different fonts to choose from. I think that the enterprise account has the ability to upload a font, but there are plenty of great ones here if you're on any of the other plans. And then these are all just for your kind of your titles, your lower thirds. And of course, a logo placement. You can kind of choose where you want your logo to be if you have one. So then you don't have to record anything. Once you set your settings there, you can go back and everything is dialed in for your studio. And it's going to look really professional. 404. Ooh.
No, that's all right. Well, while you do that, there you go, right back in.
Hey, look at that.
Let's do one more question from the audience. So the person's asking, how do you find or generate transcripts for edited episodes? And this might be, once you make your edits, you want the transcript, obviously, of what you've finished editing. So John, why don't you show me how you access that?
Sure. And just quickly, you'll see that because I've created that new project, it just pops up right there. Even though there's nothing in it, it still is just right there. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that, and I'm trying to think of any one of these where I might have this, but you'll see this little arrow So if you did multiple recordings, you can also toggle between what you see there. So you can see like, oh, that's right. I had all these different recordings here. And just nice to see that there's those things right there. So if I'm in my edit, is this the question about edited episodes or exported episodes?
So either one. Let's say you exported your clip
Yeah.
and you want to get the transcript from what you exported.
Mm-hmm. Let me
How would
just
you do
export this clip right here because this is one that I did a full edit on. And I will do normalize audio because I did not make any changes to any of that stuff. So let's do that really quick. And we'll go to exports. And you showed this before, Stephen. As it's exporting, it's all blurred out. So there's not a mistake of just like, wait, which one is the thing? Because before it would just have a thing at the top that said exporting. So I like that it's now blurred out until it's available. So this is just from a magic clip that was generated. And you have the ability to download. That's just downloading the file itself. But once you go into it.
Yeah, you can click anywhere on it.
Yeah.
Well, you might need to click the 3 dots now because now you can preview on the project page. So,
right. Well, you can go into edit right here. And the way to download the transcript is actually one of our favorite things is 3 little dots. So you'll see up here above the transcript, there's these 3 little dots. Just go to download transcript. You can download an SRT file if you'd like, which you can upload to YouTube or a number of different platforms, Vimeo. You can also just copy the transcript straight up. And also you can copy the chapters list, which is really cool. Something, and I actually want to go into a full episode view for this one to demonstrate this. So I'm going to go in here and just another cool thing, because we talked about the chapters, it auto generates chapters. And if you just want to quickly get from one thing to the next, hover over these horizontal lines here, and you can find the moment that you're trying to get to very easily without, digging around in there.
That's a good tip. I honestly did not know that.
Seriously?
I didn't know that.
Okay, before we started streaming, Stephen and I were talking about all of the things that keep on popping up that we didn't even know were there. And Stephen works for Riverside.
Listen. I make a lot of videos, but so when I do I edit my chapters pretty granularly here in the editor because I copy that chapter list every time and put it on YouTube. And so I typically zoom in on the timeline and will be moving chapters as I'm editing. So I don't, typically browse by chapter, but that's a good tip. I did not know that.
Also, while we're just talking tips, don't sleep on the keyboard shortcuts too. So like your plus and minus key will help you zoom in and zoom out right here. Your J and L keys skip forward or backwards 10 seconds or 5 seconds. You also have buttons here that do that, but you'll notice that next to each one, step back is J. So
yeah. And you can change the playback speed now.
You can change the playback speed, which is a game changer. That's super game changer. You want to make it slower for some reason? Go nuts. But
that's good.
And even like, let's say you delete a certain area. Like I just selected that and hit delete the way that you would in any nonlinear editor. But I want to kind of finesse that. You just drag that handle. And it even shows you which word in the transcript you might be cutting off right there.
That's good.
Beautiful. I love it.
And that's actually, if you use the smart mute feature and then you expand the tracks. So if you could expand the tracks, if you didn't know, here in the editor, you can see both or all audio tracks for however many people were in the recording. And once you've applied that smart mute, now you can drag and finesse those in and out points for all those audio blocks. So maybe someone laughed and smart mute cut it out because it was an overlap. We can go in there and bring it back just by dragging in and out, zooming in and out on the timeline. And so
that's right.
Those separate tracks.
Yeah. There will be certain times I know where I'm just like, ooh, I can tell that they're making a noise by looking at them, but clearly it's something that the AI has decided we shouldn't be hearing. Let's just drag that out a little bit. Or sometimes it's helpful to have like a little bit of the inhale before they start speaking, and the smart mute might cut that off. Also, if you just want to mute a particular section, you can just select that, and you might have to have this actually collapsed, and then you just hit mute, and it mutes it right there. I think that if you expand it, you can do it too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
there
just
you
do
go.
that one track. You got it.
Yeah. So many great tools. I feel like now we're just kind of going into little tips and tricks.
Yeah, let's
So
kind of,
I have one more that I want to say. If
yeah,
nothing else gets talked about, this is just one more. This is a recording tip, and I want to say it's more than a tip. This is something that's kind of mandatory. If you are recording with somebody who is not using headphones and they have echo cancellation turned on, which they should if they're not using headphones, do not talk over that person, because that person's microphone is going to be trying to negotiate which sound to pick up, and it'll degrade their quality, and they might not be, easy to understand because it has sound coming out of their speakers while they're speaking. So if somebody is not wearing headphones, echo cancellation is turned on, just wait until they finish speaking before you pipe in. If you have you need to laugh or something, go back.
go
Don't get
back.
picked up on the mic.
That's
Go,
good.
ha, ha, ha. I try to be as unobtrusive as possible there.
That's good.
Yeah.
So real quick, want to answer a couple quick questions. If you have any last
Yeah.
minute questions, drop them in the chat right now because we're going to be closing up pretty soon. Someone was asking, where can I find keyboard shortcuts for the Riverside editor? And we actually have an entire page on our help center about keyboard shortcuts in the editor. I just put that link in the, it's on the lower third if you're watching in Riverside audience mode, or you can also, I'll put it in the chat if you want to click it there. But you can find all the keyboard shortcuts for editing right there on our website, and that can save you a bunch of time. As I look for one of the other questions, what headphones are you wearing right now? I know that was a question before.
Oh, my headphones are they're like $90. They're the Sony MDR 7506.
Yeah,
I love
standards.
them. They're very comfortable. You can wear them all day. They've been used in professional studios for like decades upon decades upon decades, and they've barely
Yep,
changed a thing. That's how you know that they're good.
that's exactly right.
And I know, Steven, you use your little like secret covert spy headphones, right?
Yes, these are spy headphones. If you could stop sharing your screen for a
Yeah.
second, I'll show mine. Everybody asked what headphones I use. Someone asked already in the chat. These are Bayer Dynamics Zalentos. They were sent to me by a brand. They're way too expensive. You don't get them. But if you want the discrete covert headphones, I would recommend getting a pair of Shure in-ear monitors, is what they're usually called. You can get them for $100, and these will like wrap around the back of your ear, go in your ear, and they're very discreet. So if you want to get something, I put the link in the chat earlier, but just look for Shure in-ear earbuds or in-ear monitors, and those do really well, and they're very discreet. And Sarah was asking, should I ask people to wear headphones? Yes, I would put that in your guest guide. Ask people to wear headphones, wired ideally, wireless at least. If they're just going to use AirPods, even that is going to be better because you can disable that echo cancellation. The Riverside's not going to have to try and manage that when you talk and it's coming through their computer speakers, it's getting picked up by their mic, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll just get better audio quality overall if everyone's wearing headphones and the echo cancellation is turned off. So try to do that. Elizabeth was saying, what are those headphones again? These are the Shure in-ear headphones, and I'll put a link in the chat right now, and you can get the link to Amazon. But any in-ear headphones like that would
Yeah.
do well. So
Yeah.
that's there. You had a PDF that I think you said you sent to some of your guests.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could find a way, if you don't want to take anything out of it or something that we could share with the audience, and several were asking about a recording of this, you will be getting a recording, a link to watch this if you missed anything, and we'll try to get all the resources like that from Jon. Some people were asking for videos about the editor. For that, you should definitely check out our YouTube channel. That's where you'll find a lot of me,
Yeah.
if you're curious. But there we have a lot of videos on the editor. I recently did an
Mm-hmm.
8-minute walkthrough of the entire Riverside platform. So if you're new to Riverside or you want to see everything it can do, I do the whole walkthrough in 8 minutes, and you can go to Riverside. Just search for Riverside FM in YouTube, and you'll find it there. And someone was asking if we could share our podcast so we can kind of see the finished product. Are you all right if we do that?
Well, I want to just kind of follow up on a couple things there. If
Yeah.
you are searching the Riverside YouTube channel, if you're looking for edit walkthroughs, make sure that you're watching the most recent one. Changes are constantly being made. Tweaks are being made. So if you're watching something that's outdated, then you're not getting nearly enough of what you should be getting. Also, take the time to play around, do a test recording, and just like mess around in the editor too. Like have fun, get weird with it, and there's so much that you can do that is probably not even covered in the videos because Stephen only has so much time to cover like so many different things. There are a couple of little things that before we wrap up, I wanted to make sure that we talked about, and I'm gonna share my screen one more time real quick.
Go for it.
And one of them is moving edits and recordings between projects. So if you recorded something into the wrong project, happens all the time. It's super easy to move things around. So you can click on these three dots here. So I'm just in the recordings section here. Again, those beautiful three dots. You click on that and you go to move to project, and then it'll give you your different projects that you can move it to. Super simple. That way everything stays nice and neat and tidy. Another thing that I wanted to mention, not all podcasts are interview or chat shows. The projects are a really great way to organize any type of narrative show. So let's say you're doing like maybe a true crime show or a storytelling show. You can use those projects as a way to storyboard out your different scenes for your different episodes. If you have like a whole 10 episode arc of a particular season of a show that you're putting together, you can, before you record anything, plan out episode 1, put a description of it in the project name, and then as you are recording, that you can keep all of your recordings that are pertinent to that particular episode within that project. And then you can create a project after that is like your master project, where you can make duplicates of your recordings and your edits, and you can move them into a final master thing. But I feel like there's probably most people are doing interview or chat-based programs here, but you do not have to use Riverside as just a way of connecting with a guest from somewhere else remotely. You could be using it as a way of saying, oh, there's this voice actor who lives in Australia that's perfect for it, but I'm all the way in Kentucky in the US. We can connect, and I can have that person record, and I can make sure that they sound really, really great, and they have a script in front of them, and you can record everything just like that. So it's there are so many different ways that you can approach the projects page. All it takes is just a little bit of time and preparation, and then your future self will be thanking you.
That's so good. All right. Well, real quick, if you want to see John's podcast, there's
Oh
a
boy.
link.
I also have one called I Have a Great Idea, but I'll Never Do It. That's been going on for 9 years. That's all about our weird little 3 a.m. ideas.
Yes.
And, that we scribble on a notepad, and then the next day we look at it and say,
Very cool. Well, that's Ruined Childhood's podcast. That's John's podcast there. So that's recorded, edited, and right here done for Riverside. And my podcast is Primary Technology here. You could check that out. And every one of my episodes, and well, that's an ad, but every one of my episodes, I needed to log into my YouTube
your premium account.
Yeah, but if every episode and short clip that you see on either of those channels, this was recorded, edited in Riverside. And so you can check out that link. Also, again, you can join our community on Facebook. We'd love to have you there. Ask questions. I've been doing some videos answering community questions specifically and then publishing those videos to YouTube. So join the community, engage, ask questions there. And of course, I would love to have you subscribe to the YouTube channel on Riverside as well. I have that 8-minute tutorial I put in the chat just a few moments ago, and gives you a full walkthrough, post new features, tips on gear, building up your own studio. All of that is on the YouTube channel, and we'd love to have you over there. Comment on any video. I answer all the comments personally as well. John, thank you so much for joining us today and showing us your workflow. It was a real pleasure to have you.
Oh my goodness. And thank you to you and to Kendall, the whole Riverside team. You all are just so incredible, and I love the work that you do. And also just like a huge shout out to the amazing community, some of whom I've reached out to personally to kind of, work out how I was going to structure this workshop. So thanks to all of you out there. You know who you are. Yeah.
Very good. And you'll be getting a recording via email, and you can check out the webinars page on the Riverside website for future webinars and this recording. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll catch you later.